Thanks for coming. This is a way bigger crowd than I expected there to be. So let's hope this goes well. Hi everyone, my name is Ansh Goyal, and I moved from India to the United States when I was 12 years old. Now, when I moved here, there was a lot of different things that I had to learn to adjust to. For example, why the food tasted so different, why the accents sounded so much smoother than what I was used to, why the football looked like a blimp and not a football. I actually still don't know about that one, so if you have any information, please talk to me after the talk. But regardless, one of the hardest things that I had to adjust to was the new schooling system. You see, where I'm from in India, schooling is way more straightforward and very, very different from what we're used to in the United States, because it is standardized. Every student in every school, in every city in India, is studying the same content at the same pace as everyone else. And when you live in India, and as a student, studying is your whole life. You study for your classes, you study for your tests, and when you need to get into college, you study for an entrance exam that decides your fate, whether you get in or you don't. It's pretty straightforward, actually, even though it is difficult and draining at times to just follow the path that has been laid out for you by the society. But then I moved here, and everything changed, because suddenly, no longer was I defined by my grades and by my test scores. Here, everyone could choose every class that they wanted to take, how fast it was, how difficult it was, and what content it covered. And what was important to colleges wasn't just your scores and your grades, but what you chose to do with your life when you were not a student, when you were just a regular person outside of class. It felt like my world had suddenly expanded into a vast universe, richer with infinite opportunities. You see, I'm a video gamer myself. I love to play video games, and the best analogy that I can find to illustrate this disparity is by using video games. School in India is like a single-player campaign, your typical Call of Duty game. It's straightforward, even though it is challenging. There's a lot of enemies thrown at you, but at the end of the day, it is a straight, linear path that you follow to the T, and at the end, you either did it correctly or you did it wrong. But school here isn't a single-player campaign. It is an RPG, a role-playing game like Grand Theft Auto. Here, you get to customize every aspect of your experience from start to finish, from scratch. It's liberating in a way to have so many choices, but at the same time, it is excruciatingly difficult to navigate, leaving you wondering, how do I optimize my experience over these 4 years? That's a question I ask myself very often throughout the last 4 years. But as a gamer, I managed. I did what I do best, and I played this game to the best of my ability. Now that I'm a senior, I would love to reflect on some of the things that I've done. Most of you probably know me from speech and debate, but I've done a lot of other things over my high school career. I've done research, I've volunteered, taken more AP classes than I probably should have, and been in the homecoming court. Look at me, there I am. I'd love to meet somebody who thought that was a good idea. I certainly didn't. But now that I'm leaving for a new game called college, I would like to share with all of you how to play games like this, because everyone in this room and in the world has to play a game like this at some point in their lives. Whether you're a freshman just entering high school, or a senior reflecting on what you need to change before you go to college, everyone has to play games like this. So today, before I leave this place, I hope to share with you how to navigate and to win these games for yourself. So without further ado, let's get to the gamer's guide to winning high school, and hit play. Now, as soon as we hit play, we come upon the character customization screen. This is where, in an actual game, you would customize your looks, your stats, your life path, and things as such. And in high school, this is what your freshman year looks like. My freshman year of high school is where I found out that speech and debate was one of my passions. I walked in to the first meeting because my friend Nikki Mosquito over here told me that I should go, and I was mesmerized by what I saw. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have met some of my best friends today, like Nikki, like Ash Sobodrum, who you heard earlier, Ujjal Batam, who you will hear from now, and Shubham Patel, who's sitting right there, was trying to hype me up, and it didn't work apparently. This was also the year that I found out that biology was one of my passions when I took honors bio with Mrs. Carlino, and found that every single bit of information I learned, I was passionate about. If I hadn't taken that class, if I hadn't joined this club, my life would look very different. than it does now. Your freshman year of high school is arguably one of the most important years of high school. If you fail at character customization, you're introducing a flaw into your game right from the start. That said though, being as important as it is, there's no clear-cut path on how to follow it and how to do it correctly. A lot of people come up to me and ask me, Ansh, what did you do your freshman year? What classes should I take? What clubs should I do? And even though I'm basically legally obligated to plug speech and debate at every single point of my life, I can't in good faith tell you that it is right for everyone. Because some people don't like talking in front of others. Some people don't like biology. I can't tell you what to choose, but I can tell you how to go out making the best choice for yourself. And that is simple. Explore. Just like you browse through every single character customization option on this screen, browse through all the clubs and classes your school has to offer, and then decide what worked for you and what didn't. Get rid of the stuff that didn't work and keep the stuff that did. I joined 16 clubs my freshman year, and towards the end of it, all I was really left with was speech and debate. And it worked for me, and it will work for you. And once you nail this aspect, you're ready to move on to the proper game. Now, once we move on to the game, every other player is here too. And this is where everyone goes off to do their own thing. Level up, upgrade, learn new skills, eventually to come back and face the final boss, that is college. Now, this is the place where you learn about the path that you have chosen, and you travel down it, needing obstacles to overcome and monsters to defeat. And this is where people like myself tend to have some problems. We do way too much, and we burn ourselves out. You see, burnout is one of the most difficult things that somebody can do, and I remember the first time that I experienced it for the first time. It was in the middle of my junior year, and I was swamped with speech and debate stuff, being the vice president of the team. I was an active member of ITE Club, taking 5 AP classes, including AP Chemistry, which was somehow the hardest part of that experience. And at 3 a.m. one night, after finishing my speeches for the next week's tournament, I was about to close my laptop, and I remembered the 2 hours of AP Chemistry that was awaiting me. And as I reopened that laptop, I remember thinking, Ansh, why are you living like this? Why are you doing this to yourself? And that's a question all of you should be asking yourselves too. I know that it's important for colleges to do a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you should be doing that at the expense of your own mental health and your misery. So, what should you do? Choose yourself. Know when to back off. It's not worth it to do all of these things when you aren't happy doing them. And as for colleges, you choose extracurriculars that you love to do, that don't feel like work. For example, speech and debate again. When I spent hours and hours in speech and debate, it didn't feel like work to me. It felt like relaxation. I found peace in yelling at people, which I guess probably says something about me, but we're not going to go into that today. I found peace in it, and that's why, when I did so many hours of it, it felt fun. And colleges ate it up. Colleges, all they want to see is that you are enriching yourself, but they don't need you to suffer through it. So, find 3 to 4 activities that you really love, that don't feel like work, and do them. That is all you need, because it will save your mental health and still make sure your college applications look as stunning as ever. Now, you've mastered how to customize your characters. You've mastered how to play the game and when to back off. But like any good MMORPG, you can't play this game by yourself. You need friends and allies to guide you through this game, who know what this game looks like, the terrain that you have to go across. And this is where my final 2 pieces of information come in. Find your tribe. Find the friends that are like you, that you have something in common with. I know this is much easier said than done, but it's honestly, there's many ways to go about something like this. For example, when you join a club, talk to the people that are in that club. Find common ground. Everyone that is there because they like the club, and that gives you something common to work off of. When you're in a class, talk to the people in that class. Make new connections, make new friendships. Without your friends there to guide you along the way, you will find high school a much more miserable experience than it really should be. And my last piece of advice is to find your mentors. Your mentors, whoever they may be, are the people that have already played this game before you, that know all the tricks, all the shortcuts, they know the terrain, and they can help you traverse it as best as you can. For me, I found those counselors in many different places. I found the wonderful Mr. Edwards, who has become one of my biggest mentors. I'm not even sure he knows that. I also found my amazing counselors, Dr. Rulo, Mrs. Fromeyer, Mrs. Lash, who have become my best resources when I need any help. I found upperclassmen who know what it's like to be a freshman, to be starting to play this game, and they helped guide me through it. And that is something that I wish for all of you, because without those mentors, your life becomes much more difficult to traverse. This game becomes almost impossible to play. So find your allies, find your mentors, and find your tribe, and I promise you, you will be better off because of it. And that's it. That is the 4 basic tips that everyone needs to know to win this game called high school. And not just high school. These are tips that will come in handy as you move on to college or into the workspace. Everyone that is in a new environment needs to know these tips so that they can survive and thrive. They're very simple. Explore the paths. Know when to back down, and most importantly, find your friends and your allies. I promise you, if you follow these tips, you too can win at high school and everything else. Thank you.